Today I have Michelle Chalfant on the pod. She is so lovely. Our philosophies are so aligned. And we talked about her 5-step methodology of the adult chair. This is a conversation about narcissism, about codependence, about triggers and inner child and emotions. She shares really funny stories, and she's such a light. She's really incredible and has been doing this work for so many years, spiritually, therapy wise, all the layers. So I think you're going to learn a lot. And she also has some amazing gifts for us around self-compassion, self-validation, a free course that she's offering for us. So I can't wait for you to dive into all the things, Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Welcome. So happy to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. We can't remember if it was been a long time coming or if we did this years ago, but
maybe both. Who knows?
We're in a time warp. Who knows?
So I'm curious if you can sort of walk us through your journey. I know you've been doing this a long time. Like, what got you into it?
Oh my gosh. How much do you want to know? Well, this could take hours. All right, let me condense. How did
Try your best.
Okay, let me condense it way down. So the highlights. So I own a self-help company now. That's where I am today. But how I got here was probably, since I can remember, I've always loved to help people. Even as I can remember back to middle school, I was 12 years old, and my friends would always come to me, when they had issues or questions. They'd say, I don't know, what do you think? So I found myself doing therapy, coaching, even if I didn't know back then what I wanted to do. That was way back when. Grew up in an Italian family, lots of enmeshment, lots of codependency, lived with uncles and aunts and grandmother every summer. And there was alcoholism going on with some of those people, not my immediate family, but some of them. So I grew up with a lot of enmeshment. I felt like I had to take care of my mom because my grandmother didn't like my mom. So there's just like what seemed very normal to me. I look back and I'm like, wow, there was a lot going on. Now, again, no physical or sexual abuse, but there was a lot of emotional abuse that I witnessed and sometimes was part of. So moving through my life as this little empath, very open, feeling everyone's, emotions going through life, I realized as I look back on it, because way back when I didn't know what was going on, but now I know I was very anxious. I even went through depression, what I would call it functional depression. So in college, I had the hot guy. I knew how to dress. I could put makeup on. Like on the outside, if you were looking at me, you'd say, well, she's got her, like, I want to be like her. I want that life. But on the inside, I hated myself. I felt, in fact, and the tagline I used for myself for many years was that I felt like I was damaged goods. And I thought, how do people live with these horrific voices in their heads? I had such thoughts that constantly beat up on me. I could never, it was just constantly harsh, very, very harsh inner critic. So very naturally, I went on to, get an undergrad in counseling because this is just what we do. And I wanted to learn more. And I knew I wanted to help people, but I also wanted to help myself. So went on, became a therapist, started doing a lot of personal work. I'm also very spiritual. So I love, I was always very, very spiritual. So I always naturally, without knowing it, would weave everything kind of together. I wanted to understand the energetics of emotions. I wanted to understand even the chakra system, since I was in my teenage years. No one taught it to me. I just remembered it. It was like something I just knew. Energetically, I could feel the energy in the room. I wanted to understand it. So quite naturally, it evolved over time. The more I did my personal work, the more I started, of course, seeing clients. I became, a therapist that saw clients individually. And then fast forward now to 2014. I had created this model. It's called the adult chair. And the adult chair really is Honestly, I wish every 12-year-old in the world had this book or this methodology, because it teaches us all about emotions and boundaries and triggers and how you live as healthy adults. So I had this model that I had created. I was giving it to my clients and teaching it, and they loved it. And I started working with this guy, and he also was a podcast producer. So he said, "You need to do a podcast." And this is 2013. I'm like, "What's that?" So again, ended up launching that after a year of harassment by him. He loved the idea. Started the Adult Chair podcast in 2014. And in 2020, I launched a membership, and I found over time, people kept following me or finding me because of this podcast, and people loved it because I was teaching people, which unbeknownst to me was going all around the world and helping people really heal relationships and codependency and the depression and anxiety. And I'm like, you just plug in the adult chair, just plug it in. And anyways, stopped seeing clients individually, but started doing like small group intensives and lots of live events, launched the adult chair coaching certification. Now I'm launching one that works with therapists and trains therapists. It's like, so that's who I am today. So it's just sort of ballooned on its own. We just crossed 11 million downloads on the podcast. So it's like, what? Like, I'm like so shocked by it, but so grateful because I absolutely love what I do. It does not feel like work, although some days it's long days, but I really love helping other humans because I myself know how hard it is sometimes to go through life, whether it be, again, for me, it was a lot of the anxiety, depression in my younger years with codependency and enmeshment, but whatever the heck it is, relationship issues, all the things. I feel like I've put my big toe in the pool of just about everything, not everything, but a lot. I've been exposed to a lot, and I've worked with a lot of people, and it's been just beautiful work that I've gotten to do. So that's the story. Did I condense it enough?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I have many more questions.
Okay.
Thank you. Can you share the difference between like being a caring, loving person and then being enmeshed or codependent, and what that even is?
Yeah. So being codependent is actually an identity that we form typically when we're younger, and it becomes who we think we are versus something I do. So I can bring you some eggs because I have an extra dozen eggs and you're my next door neighbor. That's really caring. Or your child needs a ride to school and you're sick. That's very caring. When I'm tied to the outcome of what I'm doing for you is one of the many indicators of being codependent with another human. If I don't care and I don't think about it, if you don't ask me for a ride or if you don't need my help, or if I ask you, hey, Marina, do you need help with driving so-and-so to the airport? I'm happy to help you. I know that you're sick. And if you say, no, I've got it, I'm good, I'm going to go, okay, whatever. If I'm caring, if I'm codependent, there might be a little bit like, why don't you need me? So codependency is very much based on need as well, and the fixing of others, and others become our oxygen to exist in the world. Again, other people become part of our identity. So it's a very different thing than just being caring.
I really like that distinction you just made between like an action, a behavior, and an identity.
Yeah.
Very different things. How does this relate to narcissism?
Okay. How does it relate?
Yeah. How do these dynamics kind of play together? And there's so much talk today about that.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, 10 years ago, I know just being a therapist 10 years ago and also a coach, but people didn't use this term as often as they throw around this term now. And it's overused, honestly. People can have narcissistic tendencies or traits, but a true blue narcissistic personality disorder is not as common as you would think it was, because everyone now is a narcissist. Everyone here says, oh, they're a narcissist. Oh, they're not. They're manipulative, they're controlling, they're this, but not necessarily a narcissist. So, excuse me. So what's interesting is someone that's a narcissist is raised in, and I'm going to simplify what that even means. Narcissism is not something you're born with. It's something that develops. It's part of your identity, much like codependency can be. But with narcissism, we're typically, again, not always, but typically where that comes from is when people or the child, let's say, is raised in a household where they are either put up on a big pedestal and made to think that they're absolutely amazing and they do no wrong. So think about it. If you're a little kid, you are going to make mistakes. You're going to get things wrong. You're going to stumble. You're going to do all the things, which is part of being human. But when we are raised in a household where that's almost not seen, if you will, we're put up on this pedestal and we don't feel like we have that ability to make mistakes. We have to be, quote unquote, perfect for that parent that keeps praising us and propping up on the pedestal. Likewise, so that can create a narcissist or narcissistic tendencies or traits. Also, narcissism can come from when someone is raised in a household where they're neglected, they're not paid attention to, and they don't know who they are. So again, a personality is born where I need to be special, I need to be seen, I need to be known. So whether it be that you were, basically trained that way or formed that way because a parent or both parents kept putting you on a pedestal to be the perfect child that they always wanted. Typically we'll say things like, if you were the prince or the princess of the family, you're perfect, you're beautiful, you never get it wrong. There's that identity. But again, the same identity forms from neglect because I got to figure out who I am. So we can do that as well. It could go in a lot of different ways, but that's one way that it could form. And then that they both create narcissistic tendencies or personality. So again, it's an identity, much like codependency is. And it's like codependency. It's fused with us. So we don't know that we're that. Just like when we're codependent, we don't know that we're that. We don't know that we're acting in a way that is like X, Y, or Z. We don't know that. We think it's just who we are. And it's really not who we are. It's a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And why is it important to distinguish between the personality disorder and the traits?
Yeah. When I think about narcissism, I see it on a scale of 0 to 5. So if you think about someone that has some traits, like let's just say they talk a lot, they like all the attention in the room, they don't really listen to other people. Okay. People would say, they're so narcissistic, they don't let anyone else speak. They don't care about anyone else. Okay. True narcissistic personality disorder is on a scale of, again, if it's 0 to 5, it's a 5. They absolutely don't know what they're doing. They're extremely manipulative. It's an unconscious thing that they're doing. Or sometimes if it's a 1 to a 2 or a 3 gets a little iffy on that scale. They might be someone that's really wounded, let's say, that has maybe a core wound that's something like, I'm not lovable or I don't matter or something like that. So then they manipulate others to get their needs met, but also unconscious, but not to the point of being like 3, 4, or 5 on that same scale. So they're going to do things like maybe take up all the air in the room or talk a lot about themselves or not really ask you questions like, well, how are you doing today? Let's hear all about you. But again, a true blue narcissist is just a very different animal, honestly, than what a lot of people are throwing around.
And do you believe these things can be healed?
I do believe that narcissism can be healed if, here's the big gigantic if that person has a level of awareness that they could be someone that has narcissistic traits. Because a true blue narcissist will never admit it. They just won't. But I've worked with people that have come in. I've had several people actually over my career that have said to me, I'm really scared. Can you tell me, do you think I'm a narcissist? I'm worried that I am. If someone is saying that, or gosh, my mother, my sister, my girlfriend, my husband, my whomever called me a narcissist, do you think it's true that I might be? When someone comes with a question mark around that, and they've asked me that question, I'm like, you're probably or not. Because someone that really is would be like, hell no, I'm not. That's not who I am. Like there's going to be a rejection of that. Unless there is manipulation and they're doing that thing. But if someone's asking me that question, there's a level of awareness where I might say, you got some of those tendencies. I notice, I watch you and you don't really ask me how I'm doing, or let me ask you some of these questions. Do you care about others? Do you have empathy? That's a big one with narcissism. A true narcissist does not have empathy. There is no empathy. Where someone that has tendencies or traits, there is a possibility of growing more empathy, of really what I call living more chin down and feeling. Sometimes, let's face it, even if you're not a narcissist, it's uncomfortable for so many of us to feel our emotions and to live chin down. You got to be in your body to feel emotions. So I can teach anybody how to do that if they're willing, if they want it. So if someone's asking about it, I have a lot of hope. That means they're willing to try and put all of the work in.
It's so interesting because my father, who I'm estranged from, would say he's a narcissist. Like, he would actually say that, but wouldn't shift or like work on it. And so that's where that relationship ended.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's such a hard one.
It's a really hard one.
It's so hard. I've worked with, I've done this work for 30 years with people, and I've worked with so many people over the years that they have to go do not contact. Like, we're done. No contact. Done. Especially when it's a parent or a sibling. Likewise, I'm noticing now, and I hear this stat is on the rise, which is there are kids that are estranged from their healthy parents because they're marrying or have relationships with a narcissist. And the narcissist is putting that healthy person against their parents. I heard that is becoming like an epidemic.
Wow. I've never heard of that. Well, you know what?
Today.
I've heard that with friends, like friends of friends. Oh, my. I'm like, wow, that's so wild. It's like such a deep manipulation and like
very deep.
Isolating, right? It's very isolating, that person from their family. Wow.
Heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking. But
yeah.
You asked before, how do people, I think you said something about the comparison of codependency and narcissism.
Or the relationship.
Yeah.
Because I find codependence also very manipulative. So that's very interesting too.
I would say yes, very controlling, because we're trying to control that outcome to be a certain way out here. So I am going to control. I did a whole podcast on that. I just did it like codependency is controlling. It just is. Now, again, it's not coming, though, from a vicious, deceitful, narcissistic kind of perspective, though. It's actually because underneath it all, I'm really scared. Because if you don't need me, if I have people out here that don't need me, I don't have any oxygen. That's what it feels like. So I have to manipulate what's going on out here and maybe even say things that aren't true and all of this stuff. But it's from a place of fear. It's from a place of not knowing who I am. It's from a place of not having a rock solid center. It's from a place of needing you to survive. So it's different. It's different. It's really fascinating because people will say to me, and working with a lot of people in relationships and women in particular that say, why do I keep attracting narcissists? What the hell's going on? Like, why is this happening? And I don't think it's just like attracting a horrible boss or horrible friend. I've had clients. I remember this one girl, I loved her. She's like, okay, I've had 2 narcissistic boyfriends and I'm moving. I'm going to move out of this country to escape them. And I said to her, I remember saying to her, you're going to attract the narcissist no matter where you go until you do your inner work. You have to do the inner work because you are attracting, like we are attracting in every relationship in our lives. But let's very specifically look at our partners that we attract. It is like we are satellite dishes beaming out a signal. And that person will come in that is a perfect match. That person will feel familiar. And you're going to go, oh my God, I love them. This is so different than the last one, that last relationship. And inevitably, if you haven't done your inner work, they're the same in some way, shape, or form. And this girl moved to Australia from the United States. And she moved there like 3 months later. She's like, you're not going to believe I have this new guy. It's so great. And then 5 months later, she called back. She goes, you're not going to believe this. He's a narcissist. I said, well, what a shock. I said, are you ready to do the work? She goes, all right, let's do it. So then she had signed up for sessions. But yeah, it's not by accident. And I never invite anyone to blame themselves or judge themselves. It's the signal that we're putting out. So when we're really young, we create that roadmap from 0 to 6 for how we live the rest of our lives. So 0 to 6, like think back, like we all have wounding. Every human has wounding. Some of us have more than others, but you got to go back and look at, wait, what happened to me? And sometimes our wounding happens after 6, but the bulk of how we exist as adults is from 0 to 6 years old. So if you're someone that feels as though they're not worthy unless they're in a relationship, or they don't have the ability to speak up, or they don't have a right to have a voice, let's say, or a right to exist, or people leave me, or it's like all of these internal beliefs that we have that we're not conscious of, they're all unconscious, that are creating and beaming out there a signal that attracts the perfect person to come in and be exactly a match for our internal wounding. It's wacky, but it's true.
Absolutely. So what does that inner work actually look like? I mean, if you think about your model, the adult chair, and then how you've worked with clients, what's that journey looking like?
Yeah. So in the book, the adult chair right there, the first part 1 is all about teaching people who they are and how they got this way. And it really teaches us the 3 stages of life: the child, the adolescent, and then the adult. The second part of this book is all about the 5 pillars. So what I found after 30 years of working with people is that I was teaching the same 5 things over and over and over and over again. And that's where the 5 pillars came from. So in the book, I break it down. I give people exercises at the end of each chapter, like, okay, this is how you apply it. This is how you do it. Because I can't stand when people say, you need to learn how to love yourself. Well, that's great, but how the hell do I do that? So
Totally. So confusing.
I can't stand it.
Work. Just do the inner work.
Your inner work. Well, what the hell? What does that mean? So I'm all about teaching the how to, because I wanted that. Like, and I didn't know, nobody could show me that. So this is when I was doing all of my work many, many years ago, and I still do work. But I love the how to, and you better break it down and make it simple. So this is how you do it. So here are the 5 pillars. This is what I kept finding with people that I worked with. And I still find it today. So the very first thing you have to do is what I call owning your reality. So what I mean by that is there's a lot going on in your life. What is it that you're not willing to look at and own? So let me give you some examples. And it does not mean, by the way, you have to put it on social media, but you do have to look at your life and say, what is it that I have my blinders on? Like, I don't want to see this. There's a pink elephant in the room. I'm just going to pretend like it's not there. So these are the kinds of things that I heard over the years. You know, people would come in, and I always called my office like the sacred vault. Like, you can tell me anything in here and it's not going to leave. So people would come in and tell me, you name it, everything. They'd say, you know, I think I'm drinking too much. Tell me more. You know, well, I'm coming home from work and I'm having a glass of wine at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So I'm finding I'm having 1.5 bottles of wine. That's just not okay. So, but they'd never said it before. So it's like, own what's happening in your life that you want to change. Other examples. I have tons of examples in the book. I'm just going to give you a few of them, but I'm drinking too much. A lot of people would come in and say, my son has had so many issues with school. The teacher writes notes all the time, and she'd be so mad at the school teacher or the principal or whatever. And then finally it would come to the point where it's like, well, actually, I think my son might have ADHD and he is a distraction in the classroom. I'm like, I know we don't want to go there. We don't want to go there. We don't want to admit it. We don't want to go because it's like, I don't even want to say it because then if I say it, it's real. You got to own it. Another woman came in, I remember, and said, I want to leave my husband. I'm like, tell me about it. And when we got to talking about it, this is what I love about it. This is why I made it the first step. Because when you say it, and you don't have to say it to anybody but yourself first, then say it to one other person, a coach, a therapist, your best friend, somebody you can trust, and keep it in the vault. Again, you don't have to say it out loud, but say it to yourself. You have to look at the pink elephant that you've been walking around maybe for years and say, you know what? I'm not in love with my husband. Okay. Just admit it to yourself. What I found happens, it's really beautiful, is that that's when change starts to happen. That's where change begins, when you own it. So without owning it, you're running around it and nothing changes. But when people say, I'm stuck, let's talk about what you're stuck about. Can you say it out loud? Let's talk about, and then it's like dominoes start happening. Ideas start coming. Your whole reality starts to shift and ideas come. People show up that you didn't expect. So all that kind of happens. So
that takes a lot of courage, right? That takes a lot of courage.
Because I mean, I've been there. I'm like, well, if I say it, then it becomes real. I'm like, yes, say it, and then we're going to work through it. So it takes a ton of courage.
And what is like one question somebody can ask themselves to arrive at the answer of what that thing is?
Yeah, like what's the pink elephant in the middle of my family room that I'm not willing to, that I don't really want to talk about, or that I don't want to admit? Why am I drinking so much? Why am I getting high every afternoon? Why do I dread when my kids come home? Why do I dread when my partner comes home? Why is it that I hate going to my parents' house? Like there are feelings that are coming up around the thing. We all have a thing. Every human has a thing. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head right now that doesn't have a thing. The question is, have you truly owned it? Is that part of your reality? Because until you bring it into your awareness and actually say, okay, this is a thing. I need to sit with this, journal about it, whatever it might be. Once you bring it into your awareness, it starts to change and morph. And again, the ideas will come. Yep. Is that good? You got it?
Yeah. Okay. Step 1, got it. What's step 2?
Step 2 is, so pillar number 2 is, I have self-compassion. So I looked at pillar number 2 and I thought, okay, what is so important? The next step. And one of the things that came up was repeatedly was having self-worth, having self-love. People did not. And I worked with that a ton over the years of my practice. Self-worth, self-love. And what I have found is one of the ways that we can accomplish both of those things, self-esteem, all of that, is self-compassion. And you also into that would be all of the voices of the inner critic and all of our parts. So are you able to speak to yourself with a loving, compassionate tone, with a loving, compassionate voice? And I look at my own life. I had the opposite. I didn't even know I was able to create a self-compassionate voice. So when you create self-compassion for yourself, everything starts to change. You know, we are very good at letting, or allowing, I should say, that negative voice, the critical voice, come in. We know why we're so bad and why we're wrong. If I ask somebody that, they go, oh yeah, I know. It's because I'm this. I'm too fat. I'm too small. I'm such a mean mom. I'm not a great, whatever it is. It's like that voice comes in and criticizes us so quickly. How often do you have the voice that actually cheerleads you? You know? So you have to become your best cheerleader. And we weren't taught how to do that. All these pillars, that's why I said these should be taught in like 7th grade. Like, let's face it. So when we develop that compassionate voice, oh my gosh, it's so critical for the inner critic, for anxiety, for depression. And it counterbalances the thing that you're now owning that's in the middle of the room, the pink elephant. What kind of voice you're going to have around that? You're going to beat up on yourself, or you're going to say, wow, I can't believe I said that to myself. I'm really proud of myself. So then, so that makes sense? Self-compassion?
Yeah, I would just ask, what are some tools to do that? What are some practical ways that people, my clients have this badly too, and I can relate sometimes. How do we work to have more, maybe less shame and more compassion?
Yeah, and it's the kryptonite to shame as well. But we have to, and this is what I say, you know, you can't develop that voice unless you're in your adult chair, which that's the healthiest version of self. It's your true self. You've got that voice in there. You have to reach for it. You have to cultivate it. So it's a conscious choice to say, you know what? This is BS. I don't really want to be compassionate with myself, but I'm going to give this a try for a day. Can I just say a couple nice things to myself? Think about the loving, if you had it, again, that we all didn't. My grandmother was not nice, but some people had a very loving grandmother or grandfather or parent or sibling or best friend or guardian angel or Jesus or Buddha. I don't care who you pick.
Teacher.
Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Aniston, pick whoever you want. Teacher, coach, whatever. Imagine them standing next to you. when you are beating up on yourself or when you're being critical about X, Y, or Z, what would they say to you? What would the person say to you that really, truly has compassion for you, that loves you unconditionally, that realizes how hard life can be, that wants the best for you without sounding like airy-fairy, like, oh, things are going to be fine. It's like, you know what, Michelle, life is hard and I really believe in you. Can you say that to yourself? Like, I believe in myself. I'm really in a horrible place right now, but I know I've got this somehow, some way. I know the answers are going to come. Like, it doesn't have to be this extreme, I'm wonderful. It's not going that extreme. It's grounded statements that you say to yourself that someone that unconditionally loves you and cares about you would say.
I love that. And I believe it's a practice. We got to keep practicing.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Who teaches us this? Nobody. I mean, how beautiful for kids to learn this. This is why I say to parents, like, do this for yourself and teach your kids how to do this as well. You have to implement this practice. So I also start very small. I remember giving my clients homework, things that I do, which sounds silly, but it works. I promise you this works. Things like that you do every day that you think nothing of. For example, I made my bed and it looked really nice. I got the pillows right and the comforter looks nice. It's like, good job, Michelle. You did a great job making the bed. Who cares, right? It's like, I just made myself just now before I hopped on with you a really, really healthy lunch. Good job. Look at me go. I feel really healthy right now. I just said this to myself about an hour ago. I was like, I've had like 85 ounces of water today and it's only 3:00. Like, go girl. I don't need to put this on social media. I tell absolutely nobody except myself. So I'm not walking around bragging, telling myself how great I am, although sometimes I do. When I get off, I'll do a podcast and I do a ton of live teachings in my membership and coaching program and all the things. I'll get off sometimes, not every time, but sometimes I'll say, you did a really great job. I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of myself. I don't want to need anyone outside of me to say that. I've had to learn how to do it for myself. We are not taught how to do this well. We're taught to beat up on ourselves. I'm taught to look at how much weight I've gained and how horrible I look and how all the mistakes I've made in the day. How about the great stuff that you do? How about the little stuff? How about that you picked up your kids on time from school? Great job. How about that you made your kids lunches? Great job. How about you fed your family dinner? Great job.
Hello there. Thank you so much for watching, for being here. I appreciate you so much. And if you can just take one little moment and help me make this podcast a success and support us, please just subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave me a little comment. I want to hear from you. How's this landing for you? Is this interesting? What are you learning? What are your takeaways? Again, thank you for being here. I love you, and let's get back into it. So we've got the pink elephant, self-compassion. What's next?
The third pillar is I feel my emotions. I'm sure you know.
That'd be my favorite.
I'm sure you know this one very well. I think about the times again that I've worked with clients and I'm like, okay, how does that feel? And what are you feeling around that? They're like, what do you mean? And I'd say, well, do you feel that in your body? Like in my head? No, actually, like below your chin. I always say, let's go chin down and just feel from your waist up. Like, what are you noticing? What are you feeling? So feeling our emotions is a superpower. It is something, again, that we learn not to do unless we had parents that modeled for us and helped us to stay embodied so we could feel those emotions. But so many of us, we go through life and we experience a fear, we experience something uncomfortable, and we lift up and out of the body. So we go in the head to try to figure it out. We're in the mind, like trying to figure it out instead. And and so then we become adults and we're not quite sure what we're feeling. And when we're feeling our emotions, humans are built to feel, process, and metabolize emotions. Like That's what we're designed to do. We're energy beings. Emotions flow through the energy body and they leave. They're gone. Like we don't feel them again. In fact, it takes 90 seconds for them to move through the energy field if we allow them to. And so many of us don't know what to do with them. So they get stuck, they don't go through it. We start making up stories around what we're feeling. That creates really long stuck. This is like the prolonged grief and sadness and all the things. It's like, I'm trying to figure out why I feel sad. Just feel it and let it come through. So learning how to feel our emotions is of the utmost importance for sure. And that's why I have a whole section on how you do it, why we need to do it. It is a superpower. It helps increase intuition. We are more grounded. We're more embodied. I mean, all the things. There are a million reasons why, but it's so, so important that we feel our emotions. It's our inner guidance system.
Yes.
Huh?
Couldn't agree more. What is one maybe simple way to start for someone who's really, really in their head?
Yeah. I mean, just getting curious. So if something happens, and it can be what you would term as good or bad, it doesn't matter, but like look outside your window right now and look at the trees. What happens inside your body? Do you notice a little bit of an expansion or a contraction? Or look at your dog or your cat or your horse or your child or whatever you love. Like just notice even the expansion before you start feeling into sadness and grief and the heavier emotions. But when someone says something to you or does something, or it feels a little bit hurtful, or you feel a little bit scared, allow that to be there, breathe, and don't make up a story about it. This is why emotions get stuck, because we go into story. The ego mind kicks in, and that's what keeps that emotion stuck in the body. It's like, it just keeps going around and around. It's like, stop. No, I'm just going to feel it. And yes, it won't feel good. However, it's gone in no time. Humans need to learn how to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And we're not. We instead get uncomfortable and go have a glass of wine or a cocktail. Or we get uncomfortable and go buy the ice cream or go turn on Netflix or go get on the phone or go scroll social media. We don't know what to do when we are uncomfortable just even sitting in the body and feeling these emotions. So that is such a part of the next few things I want to talk about. You have to learn how to feel your emotions. It is the biggest game changer to feel the emotions.
Agreed. So agreed.
Yeah. So you just get curious. Like it doesn't have to be this big, huge, like, I'm not sure what the name of the emotion is. Just feel your body. Does it open or close? I have a free inner child resource I'm happy to give you, theadultchair.com/inner child. It is I have 2 free meditations and journaling prompts for how to connect with your inner child around feeling your emotions. Another beautiful way. So there are countless. Those are 2 really easy ways. Though.
I love your meditation so much.
Thank you.
I think the one I've done a lot is on shame. Many, many times. It's really awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
You.
Yeah, I love creating the meditations. They're powerful.
And cord cutting too. I like that.
Yes, people love that cord cutting. People love that cord. But the inner child one, actually the inner child one that comes in that free inner child bundle is one of them is on the inner child, and you should try this one, and the limiting beliefs. It's in codependency. It's all of it built into one inner child meditation.
I love that.
People love that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's so good.
Okay, so we're on step 4.
Step 4. Okay, so step 4 is one of my all-time favorites. I manage my triggers. I own and manage my triggers. Triggers to me probably is the one thing that changed everything in my entire life. Really learning what triggers are and how to work a trigger. And it has, in my own journey, and again, countless clients and people I've worked with, but stabilized my emotions, emotionally regulated. I mean, my husband just said to me the other day, I said, I am so calm. It's insane. I feel so great. And he's like, you're just like solid. And I said, yeah, isn't it amazing? In my early 30s and in my 20s specifically, like teenager 20s, I was up and down, like up and down. And I didn't know what that term was then, but I know now. I was emotionally dysregulated. regulated. I grew up in a chaotic home with lots of drama. So that was my norm, up and down, that was my nervous system was wired for up and down, up and down. And again, I didn't know who knew what to do with it way back when I was a teenager in my 20s. And then I learned how to work triggers. I learned how to understand what's going on in the unconscious mind with our old wounding, changed everything. I remember having a therapist who I was probably 30, and she said to me, I think that you're bipolar. And I remember looking at her, I was like, what? Now, again, I have no judgment for anyone that might be diagnosed with bipolar 1 or 2. It doesn't matter. I was not bipolar. And I did not take meds for that. And I am a different person because I learned, again, this trigger work right here that we're going to talk about. Because what I found is that triggers, the way I do a trigger process, encompasses all 5 of the pillars. It's every single thing we've talked about. And there's a trigger process. And in my adult chair book, I have in chapter 7, it's the entire trigger process that I do with clients and that anyone could do. I've had many people email in and say, oh, I'm working triggers just by chapter 7 in your book. I'm like, yeah, go. Just use it. Take it. Use it. So anyway, triggers. So triggers, when we are triggered, what people forget or people don't know, a lot of people just do not know this, is that, and I've worked with so many people that couples would come in and say, can you make my partner stop triggering me? I'm like, yes, let's work with you. They're like, what do you mean? They're triggering me. And I'm like, no. No one can trigger you. You are triggered because you have an unknown or unconscious, means the same thing, unknown or unconscious belief inside of you that's being activated by them. So when you are able to work that unknown unconscious belief that you've had, again, probably since you were 0 to 6, when you really learn how to work that belief and neutralize that belief, that person out there does not trigger you. Period. End of story. I have changed my life doing this exact process. I hardly get triggered. And when I do, I know what to do. I'm not perfect. Please do not hear me. If anyone thinks I'm perfect, I am certainly not. I'm still human. Very human. I still get triggered, but I will say this, I'm much more regulated. It takes a lot to get me going, to get me angry, to get me off, to create drama and chaos. I still live there. I don't live there anymore. So I know this is all possible. I've just done my own work around it. So that's
for many years, right? I think
oh
that's
gosh,
important.
yes. Yeah.
Many, yeah.
Yeah.
And can you give us maybe one doorway into this? I love triggers. Triggers I have an entire online course on triggers. It's my favorite topic ever. Favorite. What's a doorway into that?
Yeah. So if you're triggered, you want to stop. Again, sometimes if we're at a dinner party or you're at a holiday event, you can't go, hold on. But oftentimes you can. You can go, I have to go to the restroom, and you just leave. You just walk away. And if you can't work at that in that moment, write it down. I write things down in my phone. I have a whole trigger folder in my notes section. And I'm like, if anything rocks me, I want to go work it so it doesn't rock me again in the same way. So a doorway is number 1, just be aware. The first thing you got to say to yourself is, hold on, I think I'm triggered. And if my initial gut reaction is to scream at you or take it out on you or get mad or react at you, I'm going to pause, insert pauses. That is everything. Like, hold on a second. I'm triggered. And if there's one thing I remember about triggered is that to be this triggered means it's my deep wound that's coming up for me, not to me, for me. It's like our old wounding comes up on a silver platter right in front of us. And it's like, here, Marina, do you want to work on this now or not? It's like, no. And then we take the platter and throw it away.
I don't.
Screw you. I hate working triggers. It's their fault. And what most people do, of course, is when we're triggered, I'm going to call you on the phone and be like, Marina, can you believe it? So-and-so just said that to me. And you'll look at me and be like, she's such a bitch. I can't believe she said that. So what happens is our friends and family around us reinforce the ego belief that we are right and that other person is wrong. And it takes that beautiful old wound that rose up and it starts dropping back into the unconscious mind, only for it to rise up at some later date. So pause, insert lots of pauses, get curious. And I ask this question all the time now. I wonder why this is happening for me. This is mine. So claim it. What the heck is it? What am I going to, you're going to learn something from it if you can pivot on that statement alone and get yourself out of the seat of the victim. Because honestly, when we say, why did this happen to me? There's no other way than saying that's the seat of the victim. When you can say, I wonder why this has happened for me. What is this experience out here teaching me about myself? It pivots you into the seat of empowerment, curiosity, and I'm going to start digging and wondering, what is it? What the heck is it that I need to look at? I had a freaking screwdriver dropped this big, like about 2 inches long, dropped down my throat in the dentist in September. Yep.
Holy crap.
I did a whole podcast on this one.
Oh
and
my
I sat
God.
there, right? Like he had my mouth open and he was doing something to this tooth back here. I was getting like a crown, something like that, put in. And he went, whoop, and I swallowed and I was like, what the heck was that? And I sat up. I was in shock, probably disassociated for a few seconds and came back into my body. And I was like, what the hell just happened? And he said, I dropped my screwdriver down your throat. It's a little instrument. It looks like a screwdriver. I don't think it's in your lungs. I think you're okay. And I was like, what? And I was like, okay. And I remember in that moment, I said, just take a deep breath. It's not in your lungs because you're not coughing up a storm. But he said, I think I'd like you to go get an x-ray, make sure it's not anywhere near your lungs. And I was like, let me take another deep breath. Again, I was pausing and breathing and pausing and breathing and pausing and breathing. Now, the old me in my 20s would have ripped his head off and screamed at him and swore at him and the whole thing. And I sat there and I thought, and I actually had this thought, this is one of those moments of like, nicely done. Like it was a self-compassionate moment. And I said, okay, and these thoughts went through my brain. Like there's nothing you can do about it now. It's done. The way you react, or you can either react or respond. And if you react, you're going to tax your adrenals. It's cortisol. It's all, and I don't want to do that to my body. So I really value my body now and I don't do those things anymore. It's not to say I don't get angry. It just means it's unnecessary. It isn't going to help me to scream at this guy. No, it's not going to bring the screwdriver out of my throat. Is it going to help me to tell him off? Nope. Like what's the point? If you think about it, it's going to raise my cortisol and raise my, and increase adrenal issues. I'm like, don't want that. So my point is, could have gone there. I got into my car. Like 5-10 minutes later, I was actually at the end of the appointment. I got in my car and I sat there. I kid you not. I said to myself, I wonder why this is happening for me.
Wow.
And I look the entire 2-week experience of just about daily x-rays that I had to get. I almost had to have emergency surgery. It was this whole thing. Yeah, because the thing had to move through my body without getting graphic. Anyway.
Did it get out of you?
It did, but I missed it. I didn't even see it, but it did apparently come through and I missed it. But I had to go get x-rays. I mean, the people at the hospital knew me by name. They're like, oh, Michelle's here for a daily x-ray. I'm like, and I saw this thing go right down and I was supposed to have some sort of treatment if I'd gone in the few hours and I didn't know that. So I didn't go in, whatever. My point is this. I navigated this whole experience in a graceful way. There was no reason for anger. There was no reason to get upset. I was upset. I mean, no lie. I wasn't like, oh, it's fine. No worries here. I'm zen. I'm wonderful. No, that's not how it went down. I did look at him and go, what the hell just happened? I sat straight up and he was calm. He goes, well, you swallowed my instrument. And of course, you know what was fascinating? I have to say on a side note, listening to people, and I didn't share with very many people because I thought, I don't want their projections on me. Every single person I told, which were probably 4 or 5 people at the most, no more than that. And then of course I did a whole podcast on it because it was such a great thing that I went through. I really appreciate that I went through that now because it taught me a ton, I did a whole podcast on it. But what was fascinating were the projections that people had about it. I had some people that came in like guns a blazing, like they were like, you need to sue that mofo and sue him. And he shouldn't, like so much anger. I was like, okay, you're acting like it happened to you. It was what I was thinking. I thought, isn't that so? As from my lens now, I sat there and watched everyone, what they'd say. Another person was like, he cheats on his wife. I heard about that guy. He's horrible. Blah, blah, blah. And then another person said something else. And another person said, I can't believe he hasn't called you. It was like, I didn't even say a word. All he said was this happened. And so much stuff came up. And I thought, isn't this fascinating? Because I love the work I do, of course, triggers. They're all triggered as if it happened to them.
Because it's the fear, right? What if it happened to me?
It was really fun. Anyway, I say that now.
I mean, I don't think you had fun for 2 weeks, but at the end.
Well, my husband even was like, and my sister, they were like, you're really calm. I go, what else do you want me to be? Like, think about it. And I realized this too. I just did a live event. I talked about this for 2 days. It's really, truly that experience. Here's one of the big things that taught me that it's a choice. I can either sit in my victim and get pissed at him and tell everyone I know and put it on social media and all that, or I can do what I need to do in order to keep myself healthy, which is let me go get the daily x-ray. I have a full-time business. I have a company. I don't have time for that, but I made time. Of course I have time. It's my body. Of course I do. I didn't want to go into the hospital and wait sometimes up to an hour to go get the x-ray. I didn't want to do any of that. But do I want to look at that through the lens of drama or just get it done and move on with my life? And I went through it. It was so balanced. I was like, wow, look how far I've come. Again, when we look at our life experiences and we're able to look at ourselves and go, nicely done. Again, it's exactly what I said with self-compassion and self-validation. We don't want to seek or live by or lean on and just use other people's self-validation as our oxygen. You want to learn how to self-validate, because when you do that, if then someone outside of you says, hey, you did that so well, it's like, oh, thanks. It's a cherry on the sundae. I got to build my own sundae over here. I can't be waiting on everyone else to tell me I did a good job, or, hey, how about if you navigate it like this? It is a choice. And in every single moment or every day, I had a choice. I can be in my victim or be empowered. I'm like, I choose empowerment. It's okay. Life is good. It's all okay. So,
and what I was going to say love, I don't know, I guess, is that every time we depend on someone else for that validation, it gets taken away and taken away and taken away, right? All of these, because, yeah. Okay, well, what is the last step?
Okay, so the very last one, again, this also blends in with triggers if we need to, but again, this stands alone, is I set healthy boundaries. I love boundaries. So boundaries, again, you really build into boundaries. The more you love yourself, the more you feel self-worth. I've taught so many people how to set boundaries. I have an incredible boundary course that I've taught. And what I've seen over the years is that people that have boundary scripts doesn't mean they can set boundaries. I've given so many people scripts over the years, and we'd rehearse in my office and they would leave and then they'd come back the next week and I'd say, how did it go? And they'd say, I couldn't do it. I wasn't able to do it. And I'm like, well, what happened? Here's what I found though. You've got to feel worthy. You've got to feel that self-love. You've got to feel the emotions that fuel setting the boundary. So if you don't feel your emotions, if you don't have the self-compassion, it all builds on itself. Everything I've talked about, all these pillars, they all build on each other. But you've really got to build that self-worth. And that's what we do with that self-compassion again. Because if I don't feel worthy, I ain't going to set a boundary for myself. If I don't feel valuable,
all the scripts are not going to help.
The scripts do nothing. The scripts are great. You can go to ChatGPT and pull up 50 scripts. You will never be able to, because here's the other thing I found too. You have to feel worthy or valuable, and then you will set boundaries, right? Number 2 is boundaries are energy. They're an energetic thing that we do. When we set a boundary, if I'm just using a script, it's just saying it from my head, chin up, I call it. You've got to set a boundary chin down where you're fully embodied and where you believe in what you're saying and that you feel worthy of what you're saying. When you do that, boundaries stick. Because people will say, well, that didn't work. I'm like, it's not because of the other person not hearing you. That tells me, again, always goes back to us. That tells me We got to amp up your self-value or your self-worth, and we got to amp up your energy so you feel worthy. So when you say no, or I can't, or don't talk to me like that again, the person hears you. And if they still don't hear you, you feel valuable enough to get up and walk away. That's the
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. And how do you help people build that self-worth?
Yeah. Like I said, through how do you build
Self-compassion.
self-worth? Through
Mm-hmm.
the self-compassion. That's one of the magical ways to build self-worth. Oh, I have a free course. I will give you know what? This was a paid for course, and I realized how important self-worth work is. So I taught this course last winter. It's called Unshakable Self-Worth. I will give it to any one of your listeners. It is
Oh, I love that.
amazing. I still have people that say to me, "Thank you so much for that course. It changed my life," because it's the root of everything. I'm like, every human needs to do this
Mm.
course. theadultchair.com/self-worth. That's it.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
like a
That's such a
2-hour
beautiful
class.
gift.
Yeah. Take it. Anyone take it. It's yours. I
I'm gonna
forgot.
go check it out. I love that.
Take it.
Thank you
I
so much
totally forgot I
for
taught that.
coming.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. We just
We're
made
gonna
it
have
free.
all the
Yeah.
links in the show notes. Wow, we covered so much. Is there anything you want to add before we go?
Mm. It's a lot easier than you think when you have the tools and the guidance to get you there. I don't want anyone to feel overwhelmed, like, good God, where do I begin? I'm sure people have asked you that, like, how do you start? Like, I'm not sure where to begin. You begin with what's up for you today. So if you're somebody that needs boundaries, then start working with self-compassion. Start working with boundaries. In my adult chair book, I break down exactly how you set boundaries. How do you do it? How do you build the self-worth? It's all in there as well. But what calls to you? Like you and I were just talking today, like I just talked about self-worth and inner child. Does that call to you? You talked about your course. What do you feel drawn to? That's where you go next. So don't feel overwhelmed. Pick one thing and go for it. I always say, go with your heart, follow your heart. What do you
Mm,
feel drawn to? Do that.
yeah.
But it really doing this inner work, I pulled a stat up like a couple of weeks ago. I was teaching a live course. Only 12% of people in the United States do inner work. I was like,
That's
what?
why
This is
we
this
gotta
is
change that.
no kidding. Like we've got to keep spreading this because it changes our lives. Like this is absolutely a game changer for our own life, but also when you live in your adult chair and you're practicing all of these things, you're modeling it for others to teach them how to do it as well, especially
Totally.
children that are around you or even other adults. Like my mom watches me. She's 80. She's like, I'm going to learn how to do those boundaries that you just did. I'm like, all right, let's go. Like,
I
this is how
love
you do it.
that.
So we want to just model this for others. So you just got to focus
Mhm.
on yourself and know that's not selfish. It's actually very self-loving and it helps a lot of other people that you're not even aware of. So
Including this dentist that you
totally.
like,
Even your dentist.
yes, people you interact with that you're so much nicer to and calmer and more grounded around because you're just doing that work. So
Totally.
I love that. And you shared so many resources with us. You have your book. You don't work one-on-one with people. How do people work with you?
Oh my gosh. So I have like I said, so I have a coaching certification. So people that love this work that want to teach or help other people do it, right? I have the adult chair coaching certification program. People love that. It's intense personal. The difference is it's intense personal. I'm all about personal work. So it's very intense personal work and you learn how to work with other people. I also have a therapy track very specifically for therapists coming out in 2027. I also do I do live events. I do an event called Metamorphosis, and it is a metamorphosis. I just did it a few months ago, and people were like, oh, like radical changes in a 2 to 3 day period. So that's usually a 2.5 day event. I have a lot of, I do these very small, like intensives where they're online, 5 people, and we go hardcore into personal work. And it's either 2 months or 3 months. And I just made the decision about a week ago. I'm going to start doing them live and in person. So I'm going to go get an
Oh,
Airbnb and then you can come work because I love this work. When you find the right person that has the right tools and that's really been doing their own work, and I say this to anybody, I don't care if you work with me or not, it does not matter. And I know that you'll agree with this. Make sure that the person that you are working with
is doing their own work.
Yes, sister,
Yes.
please. Oh my gosh, please. And by the way, ask the person, I don't care if they're a therapist or a coach or a shaman, I don't care who you're working with, ask them, who's your teacher? Who do you work with? Do you do your own work? Because let me tell you what, the person that has healthy self-worth, healthy self-esteem is going to look at you and go, I love that you asked me that question. This is the work that I do. Because I proudly will say I do my own work, because you can only take your clients as far as you've gone. Hello.
100%.
So you better find somebody that does their own work. Because I was getting my hair done a few weeks ago, and I was talking.
It looks really good, by the way. I keep thinking that.
Thank you.
I love it. So cute.
I curled it just for you today.
Oh, but so good.
I was talking to a woman the other day, and she was in the hair salon, and she was really stressed out about this, setting a boundary with this person. And I did not know who she was. I just met her. And I said, oh, well, you just need to do some boundary work. This is basic 101 boundaries, what you're explaining. And she says, I know. I'm just not good at it. Come to find out, she is a therapist, number one. And I said to her very directly, because I really believe that all therapists, coaches, and practitioners, you need to do your own work. So I said to her, are you working with someone on these boundaries? Because you really need to work with someone to work with. Like, you have to learn self-worth. You have to learn inner value. You have to learn how to do boundaries. And that's very energetic. And I'm explaining it all to her. And she says, I've been working with my therapist for 5 years on boundaries. And I said, come again? Like, oh, excuse me? What the hell are you doing for 5 years? And she says, yeah. I said, are you getting anywhere? And she said, no. I said, why are you still with her? And again, this is no shame or shade on therapists at all. Not at all. But you shouldn't be working with someone for 5 years and not getting anywhere. I've been working with my person for 5 years. Man, we rifle through things very quickly. It shouldn't take 5 years. You got to make traction. So the thing that I love to do with people, I'm fast. It's like, I can go right to the heart of the thing. We do the work and then you're out. I do major transformational work and I love what I do. So that's the last thing I do is I'm working now with people, these really small groups. Then I have a whole mastermind where I work with female leaders with 2 other women. And we're creating empires for these women. So it's fun. I love it. It's so fun. It's just fun stuff. Everything is on my site, though, at theadultchair.com. It's all right there, and you'll find it all.
We're going to link to all the things. Michelle, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I don't know if it's again or the first time. I don't remember. But
I know, but it was great.
It was so fun. I appreciate it. Really, really fun. Thank you.